Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video. It is going to be a follow-up on my Sephora VIB sale haul. And I will note, after I posted my Sephora haul, I did go in the store with my daughter and I bought a few more items. I also ordered a couple more items. So we have a lot to go through today. I had so much fun testing all of these products and I'm very excited to share my thoughts and review with you today. So if you're interested, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like chit-chatting about makeup, if you like palette themed content, that is what we do over on this channel, and I hope you'll consider subscribing before moving on. Also, don't forget to like this video and leave a comment down below on anything else the YouTube algorithm loves for you to do. I would really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the follow-up. Okay, you guys, for once, I think I actually have B-roll footage of this stuff to share with you. So if you like B-roll footage, like showing me applying the products, let me know in the comments. If you don't care, also let me know. I want to know what you guys like to see, so I can do what you guys are liking. The only thing I wouldn't have is obviously like some of the like non-makeup products that I purchased, and so maybe we'll start there. So I actually want to start with this hair care product. This is the Way leave-in conditioner, and they now have this in the Saint Bart scent, which I love. The Saint Bart's body cream. I've purchased multiple jars of the Saint Bart's body cream and it smells so good. It just smells like a tropical beachy vacation, and I like scents like that. Something very like, I don't know, just like tropical, coconutty, just like literally smells like vacation. And so I actually wasn't really excited about this. This was something I was really paying no attention to. But then I saw Lauren May Beauty talking about this. She's what originally sold me on the Saint Bart scent in general. And I had also recently heard someone talking about leave-in conditioner and how like when they get out of the shower, they spritz their hair with like 4 or 5 pumps. And I don't know why in my mind, clearly I don't know anything about hair care, but in my mind, a leave-in conditioner was something that like you sprayed in your hair if like you weren't able to shower that day and you wanted to, like, almost as if it was a detangler. Clearly I was wrong. Clearly I don't know anything about hair, but I was like, dang, I have very thick, dry hair. I box dye my own hair. Like, my hair is not the healthiest. So I was like, I kind of want to give leave-in conditioner a try. And what better time to try a leave-in conditioner than when my favorite, like, one of my favorite summertime scents is now in a leave-in conditioner, like in leave-in conditioner form. So I did buy this, and I will say, because it's not like, you know, because I don't have a good hair care routine to begin with, I've used it. I think I've used it 4 or 5 times at this point, but it's not something I remember to actively spray in my hair after I get out of the shower every single time. But the times that I have used this, I have really enjoyed the way that my hair feels, especially the next day. I personally am a nighttime showerer. So when I wake up the next morning, my hair just feels, 1, less tangled, and 2, it just feels softer and smoother. It just feels healthier. So I'm really glad that I bought this. This is something that I think I will continue to repurchase when I finish. I don't necessarily know. I don't know, because I'm not through the bottle. I'm clearly nowhere near the bottle ending. But I don't know if it's something where like I would then want to try other leave-in conditioners. Honestly, probably not, just because I am not someone who gets super excited about a hair care routine. So if something's working for me in that regard, I can see myself wanting to just stick to it. And so far I've been really impressed with this. Then I have 4 body mists that I purchased. So the first 3 were the like summer releases for Sol de Janeiro. And honestly, like, I bought these, but they're in my daughter's collection. She is so into Sol de Janeiro. She has almost every single body mist, and every morning that she's with me, she'll like spritz one on herself and she's like, Mom, guess what number Sol de Janeiro I'm wearing today? And it's become like a little activity for us. So I wanted to surprise her with these, and I ended up buying all 3. I think my favorite, and because it's a little bit more unique, is the Danca Mystica. I definitely don't feel like this is going to be for everyone. It is a very unique scent, something very different than I feel like Sol de Janeiro has done. It has a fig note to it, and it is more of a complex scent for a body mist, in my opinion. The notes on this are purple fig, warm vanilla, and sandalwood. I have described this as you're literally like sitting on the beach by the ocean, and it's like time for a break from like the waves, like time for a break from swimming in the waves. So you're like having a picnic on the beach, but you brought a fig to eat. That is like literally what I would describe this scent as. Then the scent that I sprayed on this morning, and I might spray just a couple more spritzes on because why the heck not? This is Flor Mystica. This is more of your like basic Sol de Janeiro yet beachy scent. So the notes on this one are orange blossom, flamingo flower, and golden musk. This just smells kind of sunny, kind of sunny and summery. It's not like heavily floral in my opinion, and I don't love a floral, so I actually really enjoyed these 3 mists. I will say, of all the summer releases that Sol de Janeiro has done, this has definitely been my favorite. First of all, I love the color selection. Like, love the way that these colors go together. I like that the lids have like the marbled packaging, and in the past the lids, like if you pick it up by the lid, the like body, like the actual mist just falls out. This is like these are on here sturdy, so I feel like they've definitely upgraded the packaging, and I appreciate that. And then the last scent, which I thought was going to be my favorite, and to be honest, I really like all 3 of these. In the past, there's always been like one that kind of is not my favorite. I really enjoy all 3, and I'm happy with all 3. This one is Agua Mystica, and the notes on this are neroli water, tangerine, and salty skin accord. I also really enjoy this one because it is kind of that lighter, airy, fresh, almost sea salt sort of scent that I just love, honestly, for any time, but especially in warmer weather and in the sun. Yeah, it just smells so good. I sneak into my daughter's collection every day and spray these on me, and will continue to. Hopefully she doesn't get mad. But I'm really glad that I bought all these. I'm really pleased with them. If you like the Sol de Janeiro fragrances, I feel like you'll really enjoy these as well. So I'm pleased with that purchase. This is something I did not originally purchase, and I will say, like, this is something I was kind of interested in, and then Hope Mess Tom talked about this during their Critical Sass, where they did like the interviewing style Critical Sass. Honest to God, the most hilarious thing I've ever watched. I love that. That was so entertaining. I'll leave the video link down below. But they interviewed the Fleur Vanilla Smoke, and I was just cackling, like absolutely dying of laughter watching the interview of this. And it kind of made me feel like, okay, like I absolutely cannot buy this now because, I mean, it didn't really interview well. And so I really wasn't thinking anything about this, but then I saw a bunch of people pick this up during their haul. And the way that Angie described this, I was like, okay, I love a smoky scent. I always say I love a scent that makes it smell like I just rolled around in like a grass pile outside, but like in a sophisticated way. Maybe not sophisticated, but Replica by the Fireside, one of my favorite scents. So I was really interested in this. I bought the littler size of the 2, and I am obsessed. I feel like this is going to pair well with Replica by the Fireside, but I honestly feel like the 2 together might be a little bit too much. This one definitely has, they both have the same like kind of smoky vibe to them. They remind me a lot of each other, but Replica obviously lasts longer because it's an actual fragrance over a mist, and it has more of like a sweet cinnamon note to it, whereas this I do get like kind of that sweet vanilla note. I really enjoy both. I feel like this would be in the fall, maybe like my go-to day-to-day, and then Replica would be more like if I am like going out or something like that, just to kind of preserve the Replica because it's significantly more expensive. But the moment I sprayed this and smelled this, I swear my eyes like rolled in the back of my head, and it took minutes for them to roll back forward because I was like, oh my God, this is literally so freaking good. Very pleased with this purchase. And then everything else I believe is makeup. The only thing I wanted to touch on that I didn't pick up at Sephora, but I figured this would be as good of time as any to review these. I have the Viseart like brow trio. I ended up buying this because it took me a little bit before I ended up like biting the bullet and purchasing this, but I love my Danessa Myricks Groundworks palette for the brow pomade, and I'm like through the pomade shade that I felt like used to work for my previous hair color. Now I've dyed my hair, and there's definitely another shade in the Danessa Myricks that works for me. And I will say I do prefer the Danessa Myricks pomade over the pomade that you're getting in this. So within this, you obviously have three shades. You have a pomade, and then you have 2 brow powders. I do like this best when using the pomade and the powder together. The pomade for me is just a little bit, it's not like I don't know if dense is the right word, but it's a little bit waxier than I typically prefer. Now, as I was applying this morning for the demo clips, I was kind of thinking to myself, is this water activated? Like, am I supposed to be getting this wet? Which I haven't done yet, but honestly, I could potentially see that being the case. And I am gonna try spraying my brush with water and using it that way and see if that makes a difference. But without, like, just on its own, I just feel like it's a little bit too waxy and just doesn't fill my brow. Like, I would never just want this on its own. I would have to add the brow powder or add like a brow glue and a tinted brow gel, which I'm fine doing. However, it's just not the same as the Denesamerics. I do still think this is a very functional product. This is so much easier and smaller to travel with over the Denesamerics. So I really do like it for that reason, but I wish I could buy just like the pomade. And if you guys know where to find just like the one shade, I would just love to have just the Denesamerics, like one pomade shade. I had heard there were refills for the Denesamerics Groundworks, but I personally haven't been able to find them. But once I'm through that other shade, I don't necessarily know that I would buy a full Denesamerics Groundworks palette again. And this works just fine. I do also like having the powder. It's just, in regards specifically to the pomade, or honestly, like if I were to choose to use the Denesamerics over this trio every day, I would choose the Denesamerics, but I still think this works, just not quite as well. Okay, maybe let's go in order now that I would do my makeup. I also do have a Sephora VIB Get Ready With Me in case you're interested in checking that out. I'll leave that video linked down below. But I did pick up the Milk Hydro Grip Glow Primer. This is something that I was interested in last springtime when this originally launched. I didn't end up buying it, and then around the fall time, my daughter and I were in a Sephora and I swatched this and I was like, dang, that is a really beautiful kind of golden glow that this gives. But rather than purchasing it in the fall when I didn't feel like I would necessarily be reaching for a glowy primer, even if it did have a grip, which a grip is the most important thing for me when it comes to a primer, I told myself if I was still interested in it this spring, summer, that I would buy it. And alas, here we are with me having purchased this. This, similar to the other Milk Hydro Grip, is extremely sticky, extremely gripping. And I do feel like I have to be a little bit careful because of the golden product. Sometimes I feel like certain, like it's almost like patchy, like certain spots will kind of like have more of that golden like glitter in it. Not that it's super glittery, but it's almost like these like golden patches get stuck, whereas like the rest of my face isn't. It's just a little bit patchy is what I'm trying to get at. So I have to be really careful when I'm blending this out, and I almost prefer to blend it out like in sections of my face. That's the only thing that I've noticed about this. And then I usually do like to let this sit for at least like 3 to 5 minutes before I go over top with my makeup. But this does have a very, very beautiful golden glow to this. And this is something I absolutely can see myself, as long as I can get it to blend out without those golden patches. I can see myself wearing this with just concealer and mascara to work. I do like for my skin to be glowy, and I do like the glow that this gives to the skin. Will I repurchase this after finishing? I don't know. I'm gonna see how it goes this summer, kind of using it consistently, using it during a time that I would really be wanting a product like this. And depending on how I feel kind of throughout the summer, maybe I would buy it again next spring, summertime if I had finished this up. But I do also love the e.l.f. gripping primers, and they are like 1/3 of the cost of this. So if this doesn't add anything truly special or make me feel like it's like a need in the summer for that golden glow, then I likely would just continue to purchase the e.l.f. going forward. But I'm excited about this. I don't think it's a perfect product, but I am excited to continue to reach for that in the summer. I didn't haul this during the Sephora VIB sale haul, but when I did my haul, I did mention, I believe, that I had recently picked up the Milk Hydro Grip Gel Tint, and I have really enjoyed this so far. I feel like I'm really picky about my skin tints because sometimes I feel like they're not really adding a lot of coverage, and honestly sometimes I feel like they make my skin look worse. For some reason I feel like a lot of skin tints make my skin look drier or like settle in my forehead lines and just honestly make the skin look worse. Like, why am I even wearing a skin tint at that point? This has such a beautiful amount of sheen, shine, and glow to it without being like greasy looking. And it has a good wear time, especially when set with a powder. This is something I've been wearing to work quite a lot, which is also another thing with skin tints. Sometimes I just feel like I don't get the wear time that I want, so it's not a product I would ever consider wearing to work. But when set with a powder, I'm really, really pleased with how long this lasts on the skin. Again, it has this beautiful glow to it that kind of just looks like healthy skin, but it's also not super full coverage. I will say I do typically pair it with the Bare Minerals like powder foundation, so it does offer a little bit more coverage on days that I go to work. But on its own, I just think this gives such a beautiful, healthy skin-like glow, and I've been really happy with this. As of this moment, this is definitely something, if I finished, I would purchase again. I feel like I'm gonna reach for this all summer long. I feel like this is gonna get so much use out of me, and I'm honestly surprised and very happy with this. I didn't pick up a new concealer during the haul, but I did pick up the new Bobbi Brown color corrector. Over the last year or so, I will say I've gotten extremely self-conscious of my under eyes, and so I've been dabbling with both like peach and pink color correctors and just feel like I hadn't found the perfect shade of color corrector up until that point. I wanted to try the Bobbi Brown color corrector. I have used the peach in the past, but it was a little bit too dark for me, and so they recently expanded their shade range, and I picked up the shade light to medium bisque, and I honestly feel like honestly this is like a great, almost like concealer for me. It's literally like the color of my skin. It works so well. It's not too light, it's also not too dark. I feel like it is the perfect shade for me. I do typically like to put this on under my foundation, and then I will go over top with a concealer. I've been so happy with this. I feel like also there's been days that I'm doing, again, just like a glowy primer, or I'm not doing any actual like, a lot of times I'll do, it's behind me, but the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzing like liquid. I put that all over my face, and that's like the only base product I put on. And then I've been using this as like my color corrector and concealer for the day, and I feel so much better about my under eyes than I have in the past. So I'm so happy about this. I have seen Erin Taylor pan one of these before and talk about how long it takes to pan one of these, and so I think I will have this in my collection for a long time. But as of this moment, this is 100% something I would repurchase. I like this because it's not too emollient under the eyes, but it does blend out really easily. And again, it just makes me feel so much better about my under eyes. So I'm so happy about that product. I will say I feel like that's gonna become a new favorite for me. In my original haul, I did not buy any new powders, but I will say the last several weeks, I've just been feeling like anytime I use my Makeup by Mario pink powder underneath my eyes, it looks a little bit ashy. So I wanted to get the next shade up, which would have been the shade 2. And honestly, I might end up buying shade 2, I will be honest, because I heard someone say, try yellow underneath your eyes, and I do kind of want to, and I feel like shade 2, when I swatched it in store, was a little bit more yellow in tone, but I actually ended up picking up the shade 3 Neutral Peach because I thought shade 2 might still be a little bit too light for me. And so I will say, Neutral Peach, I feel like, if I'm not self-tan, is definitely a little bit too dark for me. That's where I'm like, I could mix 1 and 2 together, or sorry, 1 and 3 together sometimes, but now I'm kind of like wanting shade 2 as well. And I honestly think I'd get use out of 1, 2, and 3, just depending on the time of year. And I love this powder. I will say I think this is my favorite loose powder as of this moment. I also really do enjoy the Nakia Joy, but I feel like this is very blurring underneath the eyes, but doesn't make me feel like it's heavy or drying or just like, I don't know, you know how sometimes it just looks so powdery underneath the eyes? I don't get that with this powder. I'm so pleased with it. I'm really glad that I picked up Neutral Peach because there are days that I have thought this looked so much better than the pink underneath my eyes, just because sometimes the peach would just look very ashy with some of the things that I was pairing it with. But this, not so much, but there have been a couple of days where I'm like, ooh, this is a little bit too dark underneath my eyes. Regardless, I've talked highly about the Makeup by Mario powders in the past, and I am excited that I picked up a new shade. Okay, an unexpected absolute love for me is the Ilia Sunshift Cream Bronzer, which I did pick up during the sale. When this first launched, I was like, I am so uninterested in that. Like, didn't give it a second thought. Like, scrolled past it on Trend Mood or Makeup on Your Radar, and I was like, whatever. But the last couple times that my daughter and I have been in an Ulta, the Ulta has had an Ilia display, which is kind of new for some of the Ultas that we go to. And these have obviously been on display. And so I've gotten to swatch them. And over the last, I would say year and a half, I more and more really value and almost need something glowy on my face. Like I feel like I can't even do a matte blush at this point. Like I need glow to my skin because my skin is so dry. I want to add that glow. So when I swatched this in store, I was like, okay, that is so pretty. And a couple years ago, I really enjoyed the Tower 28 Bronzino, like all over my chest and neck. So I was like, I'm gonna give this a try, and if I don't like it, I could use this as a glowy, almost like as glowy bronzy body makeup in the summer, which I do still think I will do that as well. But I absolutely love this on the face. Sometimes I've gone a little bit too heavy-handed and I have to be a little bit careful about that. I did actually get the lightest shade, which if I didn't say is Eclipse. This adds such a beautiful summer tan bronzy glow to the cheeks, and I have been valuing a cream bronzer a lot more, or cream and liquid. Just again, there's been a lot of days that I haven't been doing like foundation when I go to work, but I do like to add a little bit of dimension to my skin. I think this is so beautiful. This is a product that like I literally have basically used every single day that I've done my makeup since I purchased this product. Whether I do this, you know, with my foundation and then powder, or like foundation, then I use this, then I powder, then sometimes I add a powder foundation or a powder bronzer as well. But I, like you can see, I have a bit of a dip already going in this. I absolutely love this. This is 100% a very unexpected new favorite for me. I considered buying the second shade in this because again, I think as I get a little bit more tan in the summer, I don't know if this is going to work for me. If it's not, I will be purchasing the second shade up because this is absolutely a new favorite product in my collection. Okay, we did get some more bronzers in the sale. So I did that dangerous thing where I went in store. I actually went in store twice, but I went in store because I wanted to buy the Makeup Forever lip pencil in red, which I did buy, but I haven't used yet. So I don't really have thoughts on that, although I do know I like the Makeup Forever lip pencils. But I was walking up to the register and I walked by the Laura Mercier display, and I totally forgot that they had recently launched these new bronzer duos. And so I ended up grabbing the shade 20 Marisol, which I believe is the lightest of the shades. And I will say, I've only ever used this. I haven't used this as like a sculpt and glow. I honestly feel like the pan for the bronzer is way too small to use as a bronzer. I've literally just mixed these two together and used it as like an all over bronzer. That's actually what I have on today. And I think I've gone a little too heavy handed, but I think it's fine. I think it kind of adds like a summertime bronzy glow again. I guess I literally, like there's the glow swatched on its own. I feel like you can't even see it because it would be such a subtle glow. And the sculpt, like I don't feel like this is necessarily, I guess maybe that could be considered a sculpting shade. It's more like neutral in tone. I don't think I would ever use this though. Like I would never use this just as a highlight, and I don't really contour. So I don't really see myself using this just as a sculpt. I've just used this as an all over bronzer. Did I need this? Probably not. If I lost this, would I go repurchase it? Probably not. It's really hard for me to give an opinion on whether or not I would repurchase the product until I've used it really consistently, or just had it for a while. Because I feel like sometimes something's so fresh and new in your collection and you're really excited about it and you're like, oh my god, I would definitely repurchase this. And then you use it for like 3 to 4 months and you're like, I actually like don't feel like I would need this again. I don't currently feel like this is something I would feel the itch to like have to run out and purchase again once I finish it, but we'll see after I get use out of it for several more months to come. I'm not mad that I purchased it. I also think I would have been just fine. My collection would have been just fine had I not purchased this. So I feel a little bit indifferent on this one. And a part of that too is because I didn't realize that Dior was launching a bunch of new things. And so it wasn't until I went in store with my daughter that I realized they had brand new large pan bronzers. And so I didn't buy it in store with my daughter. I was like, I can't. I've bought, you know, a lot of new stuff. And then I got home and I was like, I literally can't stop thinking about the bronzer. So I ended up ordering it online. I ended up ordering the shade 10, which I believe is the lightest. I feel like in the past, I have always purchased like the second lightest or third. Like I never buy just the lightest because I'm like, I self-tan so much. But then I end up like being much more bronzy than I want. So I've been trying to tell myself like, we can build a product up a little bit. So I ended up going with the lightest shade. I absolutely love and adore this. I think this is such a beautiful bronzer. Since this has arrived, I really have not been able to stop reaching for this bronzer. I forced myself to reach for this today for the B-roll footage, but this is so beautiful. The way that it hits the light kind of gives you that, again, almost bronze, just slight sheen to the skin. It doesn't read totally matte in my opinion, and I just absolutely love it. It does have the slightest scent to it, but it's not overly like department store in my opinion. It's just like a very light, maybe floral scent. I honestly like kind of like this scent, and it's not something that like lingers on my face. Like I just smell it when I'm applying it, probably mostly because it's concentrated on my brush, but do want to note there is a bit of a scent to this. I think this is so beautiful. As of this moment, I absolutely would buy this again, but again, I have not had this for even a month at this point, so who really is to say? I see myself getting so much use out of this though this year. Like this and this, these are like I only want to reach for these bronzers right now. Okay, blush. I ended up buying 2 blushes. I was really interested in the new Rare Beauty blushes, the new Shay blushes, and then also the Tower 28 blushes, and I actually shockingly went with the Tower 28. My daughter almost bought one of the new Shay blushes, and I really wanted her to because then I wanted to like steal it for a review, but she didn't. She bought one of the old like Rare Beauty blush toppers basically that she launched last year. Anyway, I ended up buying the Long Beach Iced Tea blush from Tower 28. I've been really into a nude blush the last year or so, and so I kind of wanted this just very basic, plain, boring nude blush. I get it looks so boring, but like this is what I'm interested in blush. The only thing I will say about this is it is a matte blush, so typically I do like to layer this with a blush topper. It is kind of exactly as it looks. It is a very neutral, just like pinky nude blush, but I love that because sometimes I can go a little bit too heavy-handed with my blush, and this for everyday just like neutral, plain, simple vibes, I feel like this is just an easy reach, just a really, really easy reach. Is it gonna be my all-time new favorite blush of all time? No. Am I seeking out more shades in this formula? Also no. Again, a part of that is because it is a matte blush, but I am happy to have this. I feel like this kind of reminds me of Buxom Seychelles, but it's almost a little bit more pink in tone, whereas Buxom Seychelles, which was my favorite blush for the longest time, is almost a little bit more nude, and that one definitely has a sheen to it, but it kind of, in my opinion, is kind of like the upgraded version of Buxom Seychelles, however it's matte. So I'm happy about this. Like I think it's fine. It's not anything to write home about, but I think for a nude blush this will fit into my collection quite well. Blush that's on my cheeks today is the YSL Make Me blush, and I got the shade Nude Lavalier. So this is something that I was thinking about. I ended up not getting in my original haul, like in my online first order. And then I told myself if this was in store, because I wanted to swatch it in the store and just see what the shade looked like, see if it looked like other things in my collection. I felt like it might end up looking like NARS Orgasm, and I was like, if it's that, I don't really want it. So I was like, if it's in store, I'll get it. And I had looked at my Sephora that I typically shop at, and it looked like it was out of stock. Like I was trying to see if I could get it for pickup just to see, and it looked like it was out of stock, and I was like, okay, well, then that'll be an easy decision. Sure enough, I walk over to the YSL display and there's literally one singular Nude Lavalier left. And then I swatched it and I was like, okay, I do feel like this is kind of unique to my collection. It is kind of like a mixture between a pink and a lavender. Like it definitely reads more pink than lavender, but I almost feel like there's just like a hint of like a fuchsia-y lavender. I don't know if that even makes sense at all. And it has a beautiful sheen to it. And I have just been so into a glowy cheek. I was like, and it just looked like such a cute little treasure. I'll be honest, like the packaging, I love. Like, I just think it's gorgeous. I can't deny that. So I did feel like I went and swatched this then. Like I swatched this on my hand, then I went over to the NARS blushes. I swatched NARS Orgasm. I swatched one of the blushes out of this face palette, which I got. I swatched it next to a couple of the blushes out of here, and I was like, okay, I actually feel like I don't have anything quite like this in my collection, quite like this. And so I bought it, and I have really, really enjoyed this. This is something I've worn to work several times since buying, and I always pair it with a highlighter that we're about to get to, and I actually convinced 2 of the girls that I work with to get both the blush and the highlight, because they're like, those 2 together, your cheeks just look so glowy and so fresh and so beautiful. So I'm really pleased with this. This is a blush that also, I have not reached for this one the most. I think I've reached for this 4 times. I had to put this down, make myself reach for this several times, and then I picked this right back up. The rest of my blush collection has gone highly neglected this month because I think this is so beautiful. I think it's a shade that really can read quite neutral. I feel like you can pair this with both warm tone and cool tone looks. I feel like it reads as quite a neutral, very versatile and flexible blush, and I'm very happy that I picked that up. Okay, we can get to the highlighter I just mentioned next. This is from Dior. I knew Dior was launching new highlights because I saw it on the new page at Sephora, but I remember when I saw it, I was like, dang, new blushes from Dior, because it feels like they come out with, or sorry, new highlights. It feels like they come out with new highlights quite often. I thought the packaging, like, it kind of reminds me of like you're at a ski lodge and like you're wearing like, you know what I mean? You're wearing like the all silver ski, like puffer jumpsuit. It's what it reminds me of. I don't mind it. But I picked up the shade Pink Halo. I love a pink tone highlight. And I will say I have also owned the pink, like shade 2 in like the old Dior highlights. And this, in my opinion, is a little bit different because it almost has, I don't know if you'll be able to tell in this swatch or the demo clips, but it almost has, it is like a pink highlight. It almost has a bit of like a purpliness to it, which the purple can really like brighten and make things pop. I was a little worried that this might not work on my cheeks, but I have really enjoyed this new technique that I learned from Nikki the Rose, and I used her N17 brush. I used this side of the brush, and I like literally, I was like, this could never work to actually use a highlight, but I literally just like try to diffuse it out as much as possible. And I do put it on before my blush and then layer the blush on top to help kind of seamlessly blend things together. I think this possibly might be my new favorite highlight of all time. I do still like Bobbi Brown Pink Glow, but that one almost is a little bit, they're both like cool. There's just something that like, even though it's like pink and has a bit of purple, I also feel like it hits the light right and it almost looks like more warm. I don't know, there's something very flexible, very versatile. This is another thing that I feel like can match so many different looks, and kind of, if you have a very warm tone look, it can kind of almost be like a chameleon and pull or read a little bit more warm toned, or if you're doing a cool tone look, it can read more cool. I think it's such a beautiful highlight. I've already worn off a bit of the embossing, but I also think the embossing on the inside is quite beautiful. I'm literally so glad that I bought this, and like I said, I've convinced 2 people in my personal life already to buy this. It's so beautiful. I almost bought a second shade of this, but I was like, I feel like it's too good to be true. Like, just stick to the one. You don't need to buy another one. We can just love on this one and it's gonna be okay. But I also feel like this has become a new quick favorite as well. Also a new quick favorite is what's on my lips today. I will say in my original haul, I only bought one of the Makeup Forever Super Boosts. I was really, really excited. I think this is one of the products I was most excited to buy, just because I had seen other people trying these glosses and their lips looked so shiny and so juicy. I was like, wow, that's honestly incredible the way that the light hits the gloss. And I was just like, I had to have it, but I was forcing myself to wait until the sale so that I could get a discount. So I ended up buying the shade Wherever Walnut. Was so blown away by the shine that this lip product gave that I was like, I must have more. So then my daughter and I were in store, ended up buying the shade 2 Fairy Glimmer. This is like a clear, it's like a clear, but it looks almost orange in the packaging because of the glitter in this. It has like gold and pink glitter, very sparkly. I think this is also stunning on the lips. And then when I was placing my online order for this, I was like, I need a fun pink shade for the summertime because I want to do, you know, it's fun to have like a fun summery pop of color on your lips. So I ended up buying the shade that's on my lips today, which is shade 9 Daring Candy. I'm gonna add a little bit more to my lips, and while I'm adding more personally, you'll also see the B-roll footage. and it's just literally such a beautiful shiny gloss. I love this formula. It does have a bit of a slight minty sensation, but honestly, not even like the Buxom or the Lawless. I truly feel like the way that like the shine of it and the way that it hits the light is what is making the lips look a little bit juicier and a little bit more plump. So really pleased. I will say, like, right off the bat, I think this is going to become one of my top 5 lip gloss formulas. I like literally don't even have words. I love it so much. And then the other lip product that I purchased was one of the new YESStyle lip oil shades. I picked up the shade Glazed Plum. I will say I have Strawberry Watermelon, and this isn't quite as glittery, or doesn't have quite as much like glitter flecks running throughout, although it does have a sheen and a shine and glitter flecks. Watermelon Sugar is definitely going to have more of that sparkle on your lips, whereas this still has a bit of a sparkle, and it definitely looks very shiny, but it's not quite as intense as Watermelon Sugar. Also, the shade in this isn't quite as like cool toned or light as Watermelon Sugar, so I think this is beautiful. I love the YESStyle lip oils. I also have the red one. It's back there somewhere. And I absolutely love that. I will say I think this is my favorite lip oil formula currently. It is glossy, and it makes your lips look like you're wearing like the shiniest lip gloss, except for maybe not quite as shiny as these Makeup Forever Super Boost, but it makes you look like you're wearing this very shiny lip gloss, but it literally feels like a lip oil. I am so pleased with this formula. This is definitely something I will continue to try and collect more shades as we go along. I really tried to stop myself from ordering all 3 new shades, and I'm not as interested in just the sheer shades. I will say that I do like the sparkle that the sparkly shades give in the YESStyle line, but I really enjoy the formula, and honestly, I'm willing to shell out the like $28 that this formula costs because I think it's so pretty. But I did buy that. And then the final product that I have to talk about today is the NARS Hot Escape Cheek Palette. So I'd actually purchased palette number 1 prior to the sale, and then I loved this so much that I bought palette number 2. I love NARS face palettes. That is like, it's a known fact on this channel. I love NARS face palettes. I get they all kind of look the same, but there's something that I just really enjoy about them. I feel like I get a lot of use out of them, and I feel like NARS face palettes are really what made me fall in love with face palettes in general. And as someone who used to not get a lot of use out of her face palettes at all, I feel like I reach into my face palette, especially for like blush, a lot more than I like, honestly, have been even reaching into my blush collection. So this is palette number 1, and this I felt like was very unique to some of the things that NARS has done. By the way, the packaging, I almost wanted to buy all 4 because I literally can't with the packaging. Favorite packaging I think they've ever done. I love something that looks like we're in Italy, so they killed it with the packaging. I feel like these 2 shades, and probably not, but in my opinion, they're a little bit different than what we typically see in a NARS face palette. We do have the Laguna bronzer. This in palette 1, we have the Laguna 01, but I loved the way that these 2 looked. I feel like this looks really intense in the pan, but you can really sheer this out onto the cheeks and just gives this kind of like baby doll, baby cheeks sort of smile. And then I love to top this on top as a blush topper to add a bit more of a glow to the cheeks, because again, I like a glowier cheek. And honestly, sometimes I don't get the most use out of NARS highlights, but I really thought that this highlight was beautiful. And I found myself reaching for all 4 shades within this face palette. So I was like, maybe I could convince myself, or maybe I could justify buying palette number 2, because this is definitely more summer appropriate. And so naturally I did. In this one, we get Laguna shade 3. And I will say again with this palette, I really enjoy it. I will say this blush topper can come off extremely metallic if you're not careful. This blush shade I love. I was afraid of it looking it in the pan, but if you dip your blush brush in, then tap a little bit out on your hand and put this on your cheeks. On my cheeks, it reads just like this really beautiful, like, oh, just like hot berry. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be such a beautiful blush when I have like my summer tan going, and it's just like, I don't know, I envision myself drinking a spicy margarita, as I typically do, with like a good tan going and just like these bright fuchsia pink cheeks. so pleased with both of these. You guys know though, I am biased against the NARS face palettes. Oh, and then the only other thing I wanted to mention, Bare Minerals sent this over to me, but I can't remember if I hauled it during my haul or not. It's the, I think, new original Mineral Veil 24-hour setting spray. I've been enjoying this. I feel like this has a really good mister on it. I feel like it is really nice, and like it has like a really fine mist. I actually think I did film a demo clip with this. It has a bit of a weird scent to it, but it's something that goes away like as this dries down, so nothing crazy, and nothing, in my opinion, as bad as like the Cali one, which literally smells like wet dog. What I'm trying to say about this is I was a little nervous because it says natural matte finish, and I think we've established in this video, like, I likely don't like matte. But I don't feel like it makes me look overly matte, and I honestly feel like this makes such a difference in the longevity of my makeup wear, which makes me really excited because I'm almost out of my Benefit one, and I love that for longevity, and now I don't have to immediately go out and buy a new one because this works just as well. So just wanted to mention that. But after that, those are my thoughts and reviews on all of the products that I picked up during the Sephora VIB sale. I would love to know if you picked up anything during the sale and how you are feeling about it so far. Are you excited about them? Do you feel like you made bad purchases? Let a girl know in the comments below. Other than that, thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.